everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchid. Welcome to May Orchies in Bloom, and we're in a room with admittedly not much in the way of blooms, but I wanted to show you that I've set up a few of these big highlight cattleyas in this back northern facing room here, and I'm just utilizing it because I don't get like a huge amount of light on the landing grow space until afternoon. This room gets northern light, so for us during winter the light is basically just there the whole time, but it's just for a few hours, and these plants tolerate that highlight really well. So I've got a few Oncidiums, but these cattleyas especially, they're so huge, they don't fit well on any of my shelves, so they get their own table here. I've got all these huge sheaths on this cattleya, which is a purpurata crossed with Labiata rubra, but because we stay so warm here, it's developed 2 rounds of growths, so it's actually developed 4 growths. So this one's just emerging there, this massive sheath and this sheath here grew over summer, and then there's another sheath emerging there. So I've actually got 4 sheaths on that, which is going to flower in spring. This plant is absolutely amazing. I will link a video to previous blooms from last year, but it is an awesome plant. Unfortunately, I have missed quite a few blooms, and this Laelia purpurata is going over. It's got a very slight pink tinge, if you can see, but it's an absolutely beautiful plant. Nice floral fragrance. It only really lasts just over a week. It didn't quite last 2 weeks, I don't think. I'll have to check my records. See, I thought this was a spring bloomer, but it's finally bloomed this year, and look, it's got another 2 buds developing here. So I don't know, I'm very confused. I thought Laelia purpuratas were spring bloomers, but this one clearly seasonally blooms in autumn. However, having said that, there is another sheath and there's nothing developing in that one. So I don't know if it's a full Laelia purpurata. I don't know if actually Laelia purpuratas can also bloom in autumn as well as spring. No idea, but anyway, this does seem to be wanting to bloom at the moment with the cooler temperatures, so hey, I don't mind. I kind of wish they bloomed at the same time, but at least this sort of extends the period of the blooms. It's kind of late afternoon and we're losing light. This is my landing grow space at the moment. I don't know, I love spending time up here. It's so green and beautiful, and I want to set up some of my houseplants here. I do have a few, and I have a few foliage plants. I have for ages, but to be honest, like, I've taken very poor care of them, and something kind of clicked in the last few months, and I think it was when I started kind of watering all my plants in situ. Then I just started watering the houseplants with my RO water and feed and everything, and they've started doing really well, and I had never repotted them. I did my first like houseplant repottings like last week or a couple of weeks ago, and oh my god, they're just all looking really good now. So you know, their new leaves are coming out and they're looking really good, so I might like try and do a little bit of a houseplant arrangement here, and you know, maybe get a couple of little viney things, hanging plants, maybe some Hoyas. I am going to transform this house into a jungle, guys, don't tell Jared. Just over here, this little one just caught my eye, but we've got a little Pinguicula in bloom, and just Catasetum laminatum has dropped its last 2 leaves. But did you guys know that Catasetums did this? So I accidentally bumped up against this the other day and it fully like pierced my hand. Yeah, I had no idea. This must be a little bit of a defense mechanism in nature. But because I usually peel back like all the sheaths, I haven't noticed in the past, but yes, I'm gonna have to peel that back because that's a little bit dangerous. So we'll start over here with Shari Baby, which is going over. It's losing all its flowers. It is desperate for repot. Well, I'm desperate to repot it. I think it just really needs a new home, but it has actually decided to bring out 1 final flower spike, so I don't know, I'll probably still repot it in the next couple of weeks before it kind of gets into the middle of winter. We've got Arthurara sea snake unforgettable in bloom here. This is a very pretty one, but the plant itself is struggling. You can see the signs on those leaves there. So I had repotted it last month, but then it actually lost one of its back bulbs and I did some surgery. So the plant is in a little bit of a state. It seems to be managing with this spike okay, but if I do see like significant signs of deterioration, I'll have to cut this spike as well. You can sort of see that this flower's deformed and it's kind of blasted a bud up the top there. So yes, if I do see it struggling, that spike will have to go. It does have another pseudobulb that's developed, but I can't see another spike in there. So yeah, I'm keeping it for now because I really do like these flowers. They've got like a bit of a green background color to them, but the patterning's really striking. It's not quite at its usual glory at the moment. This girl at the moment, however, is completely outdoing itself. So this is Blc Pink Diamond, and if you're on Instagram, I have posted this flower a couple of times now. So she's actually got 3 blooms there. They're all sort of facing in opposite directions, and I'm not sure if you can see the size of the blooms, but they're about 14 or 15 centimeters. Very daytime fragrant, but you kind of have to get a little bit close to it. It's got a typical Cattleya floral fragrance. So this is Blc Pink Diamond. I got it from my auntie about 2.5 years ago. Look at this. I've got 3 more blooms coming up there, and it's also developing another growth down there and a sheath coming out. I've kind of tried to change the direction so that we can get a really nice display on that side of the plant. I did say on Instagram that I'm not usually one for, you know, big blousy pink Cattleya, but honestly, like, this is just so pretty. Dendrobium samurai here is not quite in bloom yet. I'm very excited for these blooms. I haven't seen them before. It's got a couple of spikes here, and it does have a 3rd spike coming out down here. And we've got Velara Peggy, Ruth Carpenter, which was previously in bloom when we had it out on the balcony, but she's just opening up 4 more new blooms now. These little petals are a little bit stuck. Let me just help it there. So this is a beautiful Velara, very popular pretty much worldwide. Very sweet blooms. I did say last year it had quite a bit more yellow sort of coming out from the center, and it kind of looked a little bit more fluorescent because of that contrast, but it's still very pretty. So I do apologize, guys, but I am slowly losing light. I have actually bought like a black sheet and one of those stands where you can clip that black sheet on. So soon I'll be able to take my plants over to that room and do really nice, I don't know, Insta-worthy photos or whatever you call them, and take the blooms over there so you can see them properly. But I don't know. For now, I kind of like just picking up the camera and showing you guys also where they live. You guys tell me, do you like seeing those plants individually filmed like that, or do you kind of like seeing where I grow them? Or do you like both? I don't know, I kind of like both. But this is Little Green Apples. You've seen her a few times before. It's got a couple of nice growths developing down there. This is probably one of my absolute most vigorous plants. You can see she has got 7 spikes, and it's just looking absolutely fabulous. The Global Virtual Orchid Show was, what, 4th of April, was it? And so these were the 2 blooms that were open then. So it's like a month and a half now, and these blooms are still going strong. Not fragrant at all. It's a Latoria type Dendrobium. You can sort of get an idea of how big she is at the moment. It's just an absolutely beautiful plant. Got a few little blooms on this table. Have I ever shown you guys these? I'm sure quite a few of you might have them, but Miss Orchid Girl Danny released these prints, I think last year, and they're just so pretty. They look so nice down there. This is Hawiara Lava Burst Puanani. I really don't like saying that, but she has these absolutely beautiful fiery blooms, and she's got another spike back here. Just opening up, and the 3rd spike down there, which is a little bit of a late starter. And we went down to the Gold Coast for the weekend because we can travel 150 kilometers from home now, and went down to visit my in-laws. And when I got home, this one was open. So this one is Cycnoches jumbocoma crossed with Cycnoches bathorium yellow form. It actually looks a little bit similar to the one that came in flower when I unboxed these. So this is from M&S Orchids, and it was from an actual recent unboxing. It came in spike. I think it's just the lip that's quite different. I'm sure I took photos of the other one and some footage, so I'll show you the other one and give you the name of it. But this one is really quite cute. It's got these resupinate blooms, so that's the lip up there. And here we've got Paphiopedilum Yi Ying green coral, still in gorgeous bloom. It had a little division split off it, which was given out as part of my giveaway. But you can see the mother plant is doing quite well. It's got a few more fans at the back there. But this one's also lasted over a month now. You look at the little hat on her. And I just adore Paphiopedilums, all those little fuzzy hairs and bumps and stripes, and they're just so unique, so very pretty. Got a couple twinkle types which are just beginning to bud now, which is nice to see. And how we are a Chancy Lovely, just going over now. So this little guy was in bloom for the GVOS as well. So it's nice to have some of these plants that may not be fragrant but just last so long, looking impeccable for just weeks and weeks. Bulbophyllums have moved up here. They were sort of in the foul grow space but on the bottom shelves, and I think they just weren't really enjoying life down there. It was quite cool as well, so I think they'll be a little bit happier up here. But Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry was in flower. I'm not sure if I got her on film for you, but I did take some pictures on Instagram, so I'll stick them up. Just one flower spike this time round, so I think these guys are all kind of just in need of a bit of a repot. I mean, for such a big plant, really, to have just one flower spike this year was a little bit disappointing, but they are incredible blooms. And what do we have here? We've got one of these Phalaenopsis type Dendrobiums here. Someone on Instagram says it does look just like Phalaenopsis flowers, and it totally does. This is Dendrobium Snowdrop Astanova. Pure white petals and sepals with that gorgeous contrasting lip there. It's just such a simple, beautiful bloom. While back here, we've got a No ID Magenta Bloom, and it's a little bit darker in real life. I don't know, it just looks so velvety in real life. It is a really, really pretty colour. We've got two more spikes for this one developing. So not a huge spray of blooms, just 2 buds on each of those, and then 4 on this main spike. Next to the magenta blooms, we've got a Dendrobium with 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes developing. So this was from my Robertson Orchid haul, which I did film, and I can't take any credit really for it except putting it under some grow lights outside when I got it. It's still in its original medium. That should be very pretty when it blooms. Psychopsis. Can you guys out there that have Psychopsis tell me how long it usually takes between blooms? Because I feel like that's not doing very much. Or do your plants kind of stop blooming during winter and then start up again in spring? I'm not sure. I've just been watching this tip for so long, and it just, I don't know, it just kind of feels like it's not really doing anything. But she still looks pretty, and along with that she is putting a lot of energy into developing a new growth there, so at least there's that. And then over here we've got Belara Matthias Glamour with 1 spike developing. This Belara has one of my favourite blooms, and another big spike here from Colmanara Wildcat Bloodshot. The phals are looking beautiful as usual. Lots of spikes emerging everywhere. They'll take a little while to bloom yet. Up here we've got Phalaenopsis Allura Paradise, just being her usual lovely self. Just very pretty blooms on that one. And we've got this little white No ID phal coming out into bloom. It is quite cute. It's got a little pink center and a little bit of yellow coloring there. But it actually came from my work office last year when I used to work in the education space. I don't work there anymore, but it's still the same like hospital. So I'll probably give it back to them when I go back next. But I've actually got the week off work because I was meant to be in Japan this week, but yes, that clearly fell through. So hopefully you guys can still see these blooms okay, because the lighting's not fantastic down here either. But this is Oncidium aka Baby Raspberry Choc in full bloom. So I actually got this one in my first haul from Windermere Orchids, which I'll put a link up to, and now it's in full bloom. And this is a Fragrant Oncidium, very similar fragrance to the Oncidium Heaven Sent Redolence and also the Shari Baby. I must say, out of the 3 of them, I think the Heaven Sent Redolence actually has the strongest fragrance. Like, the fragrances are similar. I think the Shari Baby has a slightly more floral note to it. Like, I love them all. And this has It does, I don't know, and I don't know if it's the name and the color. It does have a very slight sort of berry, or not citrus, but like that sweet berry sour sort of tone to it, like in a really nice way. It is really lovely, but you kind of have to get a little bit close to these blooms, and it has to have a little bit of light shining on it to get that fragrance. So I think it's not as strong, but the flowers are absolutely beautiful. You can see a little bit of yellow, I'm not sure if that's coming through very well, but a little bit of a yellow tinge on the edges of those petals and sepals, and it is just a really, really pretty flower. Alright, we're outside now, and luckily we do still have a little light, but the back deck itself is a little bit dark, so hopefully I can utilize the rest of the remaining light. Oh my goodness, you guys, can you see these flowers? Check that out. So this is a Zygopetalum cross. It is Galeopetalum Arlene Armour Conching. Holy moly, you guys, this is so pretty. Like, they're actually really quite sizable blooms. I can't detect a fragrance on it, which is a little bit of a shame, but honestly, with blooms like this, you can't really complain. Can you see how beautiful that is? Like, it's like a dark purple, fades out into this, like, I don't know, fuchsia, magenta, very, very, very pretty. And down here we've got Oncidium Alisica Claire. I feel like it's not quite capturing this yellow very well. It's a beautiful, beautiful yellow, but it's not really capturing it on my screen. Anyway, I did say that my last Alisica Claire, which I lost last year, I think it had bigger blooms or a bigger lip, and I still kind of think that. Very nice. So this is from my first Windermere Orchid haul, fully opened up now. In fact, I think some of these blooms might even be starting to go over. Not a whole bunch else going on here. Ida Elizabeth Enchanting is just going over. She lasted quite a few weeks actually. She was so fragrant. This Cattleya is so fragrant. It's so beautiful. And we've got a little Epidendrum Porpax still blooming here. I haven't repotted these guys. Still trying to kind of decide how I want to pot it up. This is sort of like the waiting area on these shelves for repotting. I've got this Neo Stylus Loose Neary here, and I was talking to a few people in the comment section of the last video. There are varieties with like a little bit more, I guess, colouring on the edges of the petals and on the lip there. So this one is, I think, quite a subtle sort of colouring, but you guys, the fragrance that comes off this orchid at night time is just spectacular. And I've even seen Jared come out here like before he turns the lights out to smell it. Like, that's how good it is. It is really nice. It's this vanilla jasmine scent. It is just absolutely divine. My poor Tolumnias are looking terrible. They need repotting desperately. I thought I'd show you guys my Phragmipedium Cardinal Birchwood, which is probably a little bit premature because I repot my Phragmipediums last week and I did film it. I just need to edit that video, but it actually really enjoyed the repotting because it is bringing out a new bud there. It's continuing to grow strong, and I did notice, which was probably there at the time of repotting, but I just didn't see it, but another spike coming out in the middle there, if you can see that. This is another one that was in bloom for the GVOS 2020. This is Vanara Golden Spice Red Pepper, and this is actually the second spike that wasn't open at the time. Look, these other blooms are still going. You can see they've faded out a bit, but actually, like, even when they're faded out, they still look very, very pretty, I think. Here's a big spike from that recent haul. This is Velara Stella Haku, so it's grown quite a bit in a week. I only just noticed this when I pointed the camera this way, but I've got a second spike developing there. And back here, this is the fourth orchid from that initial Windermere Orchids haul, and it's opening up. So this is Wilsonara Pacific Passage Handsome. It's only just beginning to open up actually. Got a nice big spike there, so hopefully once it's in full bloom I can catch it in a future video, or I will put some pictures up on Instagram. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, please do. My handle is orchie_d. That is Wilsonara Pacific Passage Handsome. And I'm a bit too lazy to go down, but can you see my bigger dendrobiums have a new position there next to the passion fruit vine. So I've got Temesaka Princess and my Dendrobium Genting Royal crossed with White Fairy out there. And I might end up sticking my epidendrums out there as well. They're not actually getting much in the way of direct light because I've got this big lily pilly bush out there. These lily pillies, when we first moved in, like just 2.5, 3 years ago, they were just tiny little things. Now they've just completely bushed out. They're such high maintenance. I don't really know if I like them. I'd much prefer like that entire area to be a shade house, but anyway. But yes, actually I just noticed I've been asking Jared to like cut back those edges for a while, and it looks like he did that at some stage, so I better go thank him. And finally guys, look what I have done down here. I have hung all the orchids basically that were overtaking my grow spaces because they were too big, or the Vandas that just, I don't know, it's just so much easier to look after them out here by hosing them down, soaking them out in the RO water. It just became really tiresome, to be honest, and they love it. They love it out here. As soon as I put a few of them out here, they just started spiking. I mean, it might have been the change in temperature as well. We've still got Vanda Sumsri Glory Pink here. And this is my first rebloom. I've had it 2 years now. Some damage from young Dendrobium beetle, which I will put a link up to that video where I gave you guys a tour, and this one was just opening up. So the blooms are a little bit damaged. It is still beautiful, big Vanda bloom. And you guys, I'm so sorry, but I am just too lazy to bring this down. That is Epidendrum Wedding Valley Sakura, and well, the neighbor gets a really good view of these flowers every time they come out their back door. I can't see it though, so I promise next time I do a bit of an update I will show these ones to you. Hopefully I'll have some better light then anyway, but I'm just too lazy to get it down now, and it'll be in bloom for ages, so we'll get a better view of it next time, I promise. And down here we've got another spike. I think that's Princess Mikasa. Got a spike up here on, I think this is Vanda Cruchom. All the tags have faded actually. Oh, this is so sad. This is so sad. This is Ascasenda, Sook Sumrun Sunlight, and Dendrobium Beetle 8. The spike in front of us, we caught it in the act while I was filming. This usually has like, I don't know, a huge spray of about 10-15 blooms, but nope, just 3 left. So it's usually a very vigorous orchid. It blooms like 3 times a year, so we'll wait for the next blooms. And last of all, even though we are not quite in bloom yet, it is going to be so pretty. This one is Vanda Pachara Delight Blue. I've had this one since it was a tiny seedling. It only had about 5 leaves when I got it, and this is its first blooming, and it's gonna be a blue flower. Can't wait. I promise I will show you guys when it's in full bloom. It's gonna be so nice. And oh my god, I nearly forgot to show you guys. Oh, I've never had Cymbidium Spikes before. I finally got 2 Cymbidium Spikes. Look at them. How cool are they? Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this May Orchies in Bloom. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. Hope you guys have a great week, and happy growing until I see you next time. Bye!